What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Crazy Ant Farm. Holy moly, this is our last episode of 2018. Oh my goodness.
What?
Yes.
Yes.
It's the end of the year already?
The end of the year.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's insane. We have Latte with us via phone.
Phone.
Say hello, Latte.
Hello, Latte.
She's traveling.
She is traveling.
Yeah. It's funny because we were just talking about that, how much we've traveled in the last year.
Yeah.
Like 2018 is crazy. We just figured this out. We average trips out to LA every 3.5. We literally go to LA every 3.5 months.
It's insane.
It's insane.
That's
Like,
crazy.
And then we threw in a couple trips to New York and
Yeah,
Santa Fe and
exactly,
Atlanta
Atlanta.
and it's Washington D.C. We've been crazy busy,
Honestly.
and yet still had a year's worth of shows.
yeah. Rocking
Never
and
missed a
rolling.
show.
But what do we do? But what do we do? But anyway, we got some great industry news on the
Huge
agenda.
industry news.
Let's start off with
Huge.
Miley and Liam. They
Yeah.
finally tied the knot.
10 years.
10 years.
Wow.
I
Congratulations,
didn't even realize
Miley.
they were together that long.
They actually they got together on the last song, that movie they did way back, a Nicholas
Oh.
Sparks film or whatever.
See, I
Greg
completely-
Kinnear and
Completely forgot
yeah,
about that.
that's where they actually shared their first kiss.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cute.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right?
Yeah.
You know, I found out something though. Like I was reading, and because I do that, and this is an interesting story though for everybody who's huge Miley fans and everything. They kind of broke up for a little bit.
Yeah.
They've been together for 10 years, but there was a stretch where they broke up, and apparently they decided to get married in Australia, as a thank you, apparently to Thor, Big Brother Thor. As
Yeah.
you guys know, Liam's big brother is Chris Hemsworth, Thor, and his wife. Because when they broke up, when Miley and Liam broke up, apparently they reached out and said, look, guys, we know what you have is real. We don't want to see you throw something away that
Oh,
could
wow.
potentially work, and this is
Yeah.
the real deal or whatever. And they invited them to come stay with them and hang out with them.
Yeah.
And so Miley and Liam went, and they kind of hung out with them and just kind of, they worked
Yeah.
through their problems, and they
No
were all
shit.
there and kind of got them. And that's the reason they got back together.
That's awesome.
And so as a kind of a thank you and to say we recognize that what you guys did for us kind of a thing, Miley wanted to make sure that they were married
That's
with them
cool.
and that kind of a thing. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
What was the rough patch around like a wrecking ball around there?
It really
Like-
was around that time.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that makes complete sense.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of explains it.
But
Yeah.
I felt
you
bad,
know,
like I didn't even know they were together at all.
Yeah.
I really think what was going on there, though, and maybe this is what, Thor. I just want to call him Thor because,
Name's
I mean,
Thor.
come on, he is
Yeah.
Thor. But anyway, maybe that's what, the family told him. It's like, look, you have to understand she's trying to get rid of little Miley,
Right.
Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
And you can't do that just by saying, oh, hey, look, I'm adult now.
Right.
She had to do something drastic to make
Yeah,
people
but
forget about Miley.
Going
Hannah.
on stage and having all the
Look, I agree, but it worked. Nobody's talking about Hannah Montana anymore.
Yeah.
You haven't mentioned Hannah Montana
or
since,
party in the USA.
I like that one. Okay, if she would have stuck with Party in the USA,
Yeah, I think she
Right.
could
Miley
have been more
should've
adult. Just do it
stayed.
in like a party in the USA and kind of build on that.
Right.
regardless of what she should have, I think the drastic move, maybe it didn't have to be the way she did it, but the drastic move needed to be done in order to like basically bury Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
And then I think, she did it. It kind of went crazy and it's successful.
Yeah.
And then now she's back to normal Miley.
Well,
I mean,
especially with performers and the music industry, they change personas like every day,
Right.
basically.
Right.
Every
Well, you
album.
got Katy Perry now is kind of going and doing what Miley was doing.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I'd liken it to a lot to like Taylor Swift being like the whole bad girl now, and like Madonna was always changing how she was.
Well, I mean, that's how she stayed relevant.
exactly.
Oh,
I mean-
we're talking about the one who doesn't change it the most is David Bowie. Think about it, he came out with a brand new name and a brand
Yeah,
new thing. You also have like Garth Brooks trying to be breaking in the pop
Oh,
music
God, yeah,
with
Chris Gaines or
Chris
whatever
Gaines.
that was. Yeah, what the fuck?
and
That
everyone
was
was like,
really
that's
weird.
Garth Brooks. It's
Yeah.
like, no, it's not. That's someone different.
and he had his wig on and shit.
Yeah,
it
he
was
tried
just
to-
weird.
it
It was
was-
creepy. But point being, at least his family recognized, hey, chill out, calm down, let her do what she's got to
Yeah.
do. And if Miley never comes back, then okay, you good. Just
Exactly.
move on. But if Miley comes back and we think she will,
Yeah.
you need to not run away from that. And, so, and here they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years, they're
Wow.
married. And They did get married in Australia, from what I understand, but they got the marriage license in Tennessee, apparently.
Oh, interesting.
So
Was it on Christmas?
it was over Christmas, yeah.
Interesting.
What do you think? You happy about that, Latte? You happy they're married?
I mean, I guess so. I mean,
I don't know.
I guess it's better than some terrible celebrity news. At least it's something happy for a change.
Exactly. Nobody's overdosed or not addicted
Exactly.
to
Or
anything.
getting
Well,
charged
I
of
mean,
sexual charges.
Yeah, and let's be honest, it's rare for a couple in this industry to stay together for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they had that little hiccup, but I mean, 10 years is
Yeah.
10 years. That's that's a good run.
Yeah.
And now they're just now starting to get married, so
Seriously.
I mean,
Seriously. Well, speaking of good runs and hopefully staying on that good run, Star Wars, the next one,
Episode 9.
Episode 9 takes place. The events take place like a year after Last Jedi, and honestly, I barely remember Last Jedi as it is because I was so pissed about it. So, I mean,
Are they gonna just have like a funeral scene for Leia?
well, she was alive.
Leia's alive.
Yeah, Leia's alive.
I know she was alive
So
in the
here's-
last one,
Luke's
but in
dead.
between
Here's
years.
what J.J. Abrams said. This is what I think. J.J. Abrams probably went to Disney and said, "Look, that Ryan Johnson guy.
Yeah.
that was funny.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, Kylo and Rey, they are fucking related,
Right?
Luke is not dead. Leia is dead.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm sure Bob was like, okay,
Okay.
because that's what the fans want.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir, Mr. Lens Flare, sir.
I mean, come on, everybody
Sorry, I
agreed.
had to
That
mention.
sucked.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be
It
a
was so
send off for
disappointing.
Leia, you know. And why the fuck do you kill Luke? Yeah, you don't kill Luke.
No idea.
And everybody.
Well, was he tired of playing the character like Han, like Harrison Ford? He was maybe tired of playing that character, or just wanted to pass the torch on and get people to focus on the new crew.
I don't know, man. I just know a lot of people were pissed about it.
Oh man,
How'd you feel about it, Tavia?
I kind of don't really remember a whole lot of it either.
See?
I mean, I went back and rewatched some of it because I had that class, the Star Wars class. But I think it'd be a good idea to rewatch it before watching this one.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting. I don't know. It's just such a weird storyline for the production of the Star Wars movies because they go. I mean, it's just been going back and forth with directors and stories, and
Right.
people, it seems like it's being pulled multiple different directions. Like one person's trying to take it this way, and then this other person's trying to come in and course correct and bring it back to the other way. And it's just, I don't know. I hope it's good. I hope it turns out well, but I just don't know. I don't know.
I think it's your feeling is like how the original like Star Trek movies were going because they kind of went this way, then the course corrected this way.
Well, you know what I think? My opinion, they should have just forgotten about the whole Ryan Johnson. They should have just let JJ do the trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
if you were going to let him do the first one and you knew he was going to do the last
Exactly.
one, why the fuck wouldn't you let him do the second
Exactly.
one? I mean, I know
makes
he
no
had to
sense.
take a break to do the Star Trek movie,
Right.
Or the Mission Impossible movie, but still, just okay. So
Yeah.
delay it a little bit and then have him do the second one. I think it was a huge mistake for him not to do the
Yeah.
entire trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, my question to like everybody is: are people tired of Star Wars? Is Star Wars being outdated now?
No,
You don't think so?
I don't think so. It's getting a little bit diluted. No, that's not the right phrase. They're just going to the well too many times.
Yeah.
Like space it out a little bit more.
well, I think that people are tiring of the originals.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, that's
Yeah.
why I think that this third one, JJ should just make it the definitive end of the Skywalker saga
Yeah.
and move on.
Yeah.
Because Rogue One did really well.
It did.
It
Yeah.
was
It was a really
but
good
it had
film.
nothing to do with while it was it
Exactly.
took place in the universe
Yeah.
and it sets up what happens in A New
Right.
Hope and all. It still had nothing to
need new
do
stories,
with the
yeah.
Skywalker part of it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think that's where
but it was like Empire. Empire had that sadder note,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more reality on some sadness or
right.
some happiness, but it kind of ended on a downer.
I just
and
think
so did
people-
Rogue One. Everything blew up.
Right.
Right.
I just think people want to see other characters other than the Skywalkers
Yeah.
and the people surrounding the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
And so,
I'm still very interested in the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie,
yeah.
solo film. So I don't know, man.
Well,
And what's his name is all up for it.
Yeah, he
Because-
wants
and
to
he
do
also
it.
has the age on it.
Yeah,
now.
rumor has it that Favreau's series is getting a lot of praise.
That's good.
So, I mean, we'll see.
The
we'll
golden
see.
boy, man.
Yeah,
The golden boy.
The Golden Boy.
he is.
He really is.
I know.
But Aquaman,
Oh my gosh.
freaking, it took home $22.1 million on Tuesday, Christmas Day. One of the top showings ever on Christmas Day outside of a Star Wars picture or the Avatar picture.
Yeah,
So,
106 million total over the holiday weekend.
Insane.
So it's kicking ass. It's already
Seriously.
crossed $500 million worldwide. It's doing huge.
yeah.
It's doing huge.
Yeah. You got to see it yet, Tavia?
Have you seen it yet?
Oh yeah, we saw it. You?
Where's the take? No, I haven't seen it yet. We're planning on it.
We loved it.
Yeah, it was great. It really was.
They actually made Aquaman cool.
Seriously. It
Like-
was like the
It
underwater.
took them years to do it. Trust me, they have to do a lot
Yeah.
of setup and a lot of work because they made him look like a redneck hillbilly with a terrible suit and a mullet
Yeah, but
at one point.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. But yeah, they corrected everything wrong with the Jason Momoa Aquaman in Justice League
Yeah.
and kept all the stuff that worked and then just expanded on it. And this one's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
really
no
liked it.
stupid bubbles when they're talking underwater.
No.
Like all the underwater effects and all the stuff is fantastic.
We went and saw it in 3D, Chris, and man, it was insane.
Worth
yeah,
3D?
it's definitely
Yeah.
highly recommend anybody who hasn't seen it yet to see it in 3D because
Yeah.
the underwater
Was it you saw
stuff
it
is
over in
amazing in
Gulfport?
3D.
No, we saw it at this
I
the new
always
Biloxi
feel
one.
sick when I see
Ooh.
movies in 3D. Like, they always make me feel nauseated and give me a headache.
I don't
can't
know.
even
I'm
watch it.
telling you, there's just something about the way they shot the underwater stuff that when you watch it
Yeah.
in 3D, you literally feel like you're underwater with them. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
And
You
the-
also have to go to the right theater because some theaters aren't focusing right for
That's
the
true,
3D.
too.
They
Right.
just kind of leave it alone
Yeah.
I
and
will
not
say-
realize they have to adjust it on each
That's
show.
true.
We
I
should
didn't know
say
that.
this though, a little
Right.
bit of a spoiler or whatever, but they did rewrite or change a little bit of the stuff from Justice League. Because the way the mom and dad met and the fact that the mom is still alive and the different. I mean, they made reference in Justice League that the mother had perished.
Oh shit.
And that and it was a whole that Arthur was left on the doorstep of
Yeah.
the lighthouse keeper, but
Oh.
they changed all that in
Yeah,
this movie.
they were together.
So while he's the same character from Justice League, they do change things up, and it is an origin story. But they do a really, in my opinion, fantastic job. And he looks badass in the orange and green suit.
Yeah, seriously.
He should have had that from the get go. If
Agreed.
he had been
Like-
dressed like that in Justice League,
Yeah.
it would have been much better.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why he gets the orange and green suit, and you got to see it. But it's epic. I think it's a good. They have something really strong to build on now with the first Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
Yeah.
And they should just now start building their extended universe around those films
Agreed.
because they're a good start.
Agreed. Very much so.
Then it would be like they could build to be like a pretty good rival with Marvel, even though they have a lot of catching up to do.
If they go slow and they build around it and they don't try to rush, I think they could potentially catch it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would just be great to see some competition.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
against both of them.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, superheroes are such a huge thing right now. I mean, of course, we've all seen that. But it'd be awesome to see it come from the other side as well.
well, we talked about one of the things. The reason I think that Aquaman was so successful, and the reason I think that moving forward they're going to actually start maybe laying down some groundwork to actually compete, is because Jeff Johns, who had long been a part of the television side of it, he was the head of DC Entertainment. And he stepped down. He removed himself as the head of DC Entertainment and the CEO position so that he could focus on writing and being a part of the creative process of the films moving forward. And I think that was huge. He wrote the screenplay for Aquaman. He's currently writing the new Green Lantern one. He had a part in Wonder Woman. And so I think that's the reason now why we're starting to see the success. Because the TV side, the Arrowverse and everything, that's always been hugely successful.
yeah.
And he played a huge part in the writing and development with Greg Berlanti
Yeah.
of that. And I think he realized they needed, instead of him being in a position of corporate authority, he
Right.
realized he needed to be a creative as opposed to a suit.
Yeah.
And and I think it was the right move because
Yeah.
Aquaman and Wonder Woman were great. And if he hits on Green Lantern like that, then
Exactly.
they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see someone who realizes they have more ambition and more skill in one set, so they decided to go over here than to go over here. Like, if there's a fork in the road, if you're going to be a suit or if you're going to be a creative, it's awesome that he chose the creative side.
What a lot of people don't realize is that both Kevin Feige and Jeff Johns kind of came up together.
Oh, really?
Under Richard Donner with Superman. You know, they kind of worked and they were apprentices and they're really good friends. They kind of came up together. And I think the problem is that Warner Brothers desperately wanted Jeff Johns to be Kevin Feige and say, you can do everything he's doing. Yeah. But see, that's where, like you just said, Logan, that they have to know the difference. Feige knows that he's an executive. Yeah. He's a producer, and he's an extraordinary producer, and he lets the creatives do their jobs.
You have to pick.
I think Jeff Johns realized, I'm not him. Well, you can give me the producer tag all day long, but I'm a creative. I'm a writer. I write these characters.
Exactly.
And so to have the know-with-all to step down and say, I need to be doing this, not this, that took guts.
And I mean, overall, it'll probably be better for the franchise.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, Aquaman and Wonder Woman are proof positive so far.
And so we got to see Shazam.
We're going from one movie that's a hurricane blowing away the box office to a tiny windstorm.
I don't know if I would even call it that, Chris. I would call it a nice breeze.
A nice breeze.
And on a rainy day. Okay? Welcome to Marwin is set to lose about $60 million. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. The movie only made $2.4 million on the opening weekend. What? That is insane.
And it cost $40 million to make.
Yeah.
So anybody who's not familiar with the industry, you have to make 3 times that to clear a profit. Yeah. You have to make twice that to break even, and then 3 times to actually start to go into profit. So if it costs 40, you need $120 million to start to make a profit. It made $2.4 million.
Yeah,
they've already written off $60 million. They think they could take as big a bath as $75 million on it. So
I mean, was an Oscar bait? Is that what this is? Because that's not a great time to release a movie like this.
I think that's what they thought they were hoping, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think the critics like it. I don't think clearly the audience didn't like it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Will it hurt the actor's career, his lead actor?
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell.
No, I don't think so, because he's also got Vice in theaters, and he's getting critical acclaim for Vice.
So Vice,
yeah. Well, and can I just say that Lil Cam and I saw Vice over the weekend.
I hate y'all. Y'all got to see Vice. I want to see
while Christian Bale and Steve Carell and everybody in it did a fantastic job acting. Amy Adams, fantastic. The movie sucked. Like, I'm just gonna say, I had such high hopes for it.
No.
I'm a political junkie. I'm a news junkie. I love politics. I love it. It just it didn't work.
Yeah.
It was a hatchet job on Cheney.
So sad.
And I get it. I mean, that Hollywood's liberal, and that's okay. And everybody has opinions, and no matter. But when you go to a movie like that, I feel like you should be able, no matter what side of politics you fall on, be able to enjoy the movie. Right. But it was such a hatchet job. A lot of it was true. But a lot of it, I feel, was completely fictionalized. Yeah. They even say so in the beginning. What did they say? Of course, Cheney wouldn't cooperate with us, and this is based on a somewhat kind of, but we fucking tried real hard. Best. Yeah, or we tried our fucking best, or something. It literally says that. And so they kind of start from the get-go saying they made it up, a lot of it. And
see, that's the difference between Vice and a front runner. Hugh Jackman and those guys, they wanted to honor that story and tell it right.
Right.
So, I mean, it sounds like more for entertainment value.
I think so. I think it. I mean, there were just weird scenes like where they kind of like Lil Cam brought up a great point. One of the weirdest ones is where they say, "Well, what did you think happened next?" They go into a Shakespearean, monologue, and then they do. They're laying in bed together, Cheney and his wife, and they're like, they start talking about whether he should run for vice president, should accept the offer, but they're doing it in Shakespeare. And they're like, and then they go back to being normal.
Yeah.
And it was weird. Halfway through the film, when he's booted out, and he's done, and kind of, they start rolling the credits. Dick Cheney, Christian Bale, they're rolling the credits.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he never practiced politics again, and he was never and then they're like, okay, kidding. And then they jump back into the story again.
What the fuck?
And
That's
So
weird.
was this a giant prank? Was that a giant prank on the audience? It's like, oh, we're gonna get all of them. We're gonna put big name actors and then fuck around.
I
with
mean,
them for
I get it.
2
Adam
hours.
McKay is known from Saturday Night Live. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
He's Will Ferrell executive produced it.
Yeah.
I mean, so you kind of expect some funny, quirky stuff, but
Right.
it just for me didn't work. You're
Well-
getting like critical acclaim for these serious
yeah,
performances as these characters, but
Exactly.
it's in the middle of like a comedy.
Yeah.
And it just I don't know.
Half of the row in front of us left after like 20 minutes.
Yeah, literally
Shit.
half the row got up and walked out 20
Damn.
minutes into it. They're like, "Fuck this."
Damn.
I mean, and at the end, I just think everybody was like, "What the fuck did we just watch?"
Yeah.
Because it was silent.
Yeah.
There was not people talking about that sucked. There wasn't people talking about that was great.
That
There was,
awkward
nobody said it was
silence.
funny. Nobody said it wasn't funny. It was just silence, like we were at a funeral or something.
Damn.
It was real. That's not what you want walking out.
Yeah.
You can guarantee Vice
That
is not going to get
sucks.
word of mouth.
Yeah,
So
seriously.
clearly, I mean,
Wow.
Was the rating? The rating was up on that a little bit, wasn't it?
look, I think only people look. I'm not gonna lie. The theater was packed, but that's because it's gotten all the Golden Globe nominations and all the critics are
Right,
talking about it
yeah.
like it's going to be an Oscar contender. Now, I don't think audiences like it.
No shit.
I don't think they like it.
Yeah, it's like a 64 on
okay.
Rotten Tomatoes for the tomato meter, but for the audience meter, it's a 59 rotten.
See?
Yeah.
That's
it-
rare.
it's
Usually
just-
it's the other way around. Usually Rotten Tomatoes has a more critical view,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
audience gives it a more favorable.
Yeah,
Wow.
So it's just not good. Okay, another one because we're gonna just stick with it because we go to movies all the time. We also saw Bumblebee.
Yeah.
I loved
Oh.
it. Oh yeah, loved it because it's set in the '80s, and I love the '80s. And I just really though, I thought it was solid from start to finish. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
How was
Agreed.
John Cena?
You want to talk about John Cena?
There we go.
He was over the top, man.
Yeah.
He was.
He Nick Caged it. He went to
He
like
was
32.
acting. He was acting like he was walking out into a WWE ring and entertaining the thousands of fans in the arena. That's
Yeah.
what it was like.
Well, that's why he's trained. That's
Yeah,
the thing,
I
though.
mean,
He's trained to be
but-
that.
It was weird though.
Yeah.
It just felt out of
I mean,
place.
I've seen him in Cock Blockers, and he was funny in Cock
Yeah.
Blockers. But
Yeah.
he overplayed this one.
yeah,
He really did.
because I'm not really sure this character was supposed to be over the top.
Yeah.
like I don't know.
I don't know.
Um,
Oh, he's
it-
trying to emulate the '80s bad guy and being over the top.
But
Yeah.
the movie though is actually really solid.
It
Haley
is.
Steinfeld does a great job. All the supporting cast is outstanding.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
And it was nice to see Bumblebee talk. They explain how he loses his voice and has
Yeah.
to communicate through the radio and how she helps him do that.
Yeah.
You get to see old school Optimus Prime, which
Yeah.
was fucking epic.
Yeah.
Anybody who's an '80s fan or even just like from to what early '90s with the movie. I mean, to see epic, Optimus Prime was fantastic.
Yeah.
Um.
And then spoiler, he does turn into a Camaro at the end.
So yeah, anybody that was
Wait, he
wondering,
didn't, no,
though,
whoa. He wasn't originally a Camaro until like after got off the car lot and they were driving around and he turned into a Camaro because he got all his feelings hurt for being whatever he was.
Well, but
No,
that's
no.
when he turned into the new
new
Camaro.
Camaro.
Okay,
yeah,
so he
yeah.
just turned into
He's
the
the
90s?
old Camaro that
Okay.
Shia LaBeouf Witwicky finds.
Yeah.
But
he's new
but
at the
he's
end
new.
of this movie.
Yeah,
instead
because
of-
it's a new '80s Camaro.
Okay.
But
okay.
anybody that was wondering about whether this was connected to the other, yes, clearly, because they have him turn into the Camaro that Witwicky finds, in Transformers 1. And they also, I noticed, Emily said she didn't notice, but I noticed, and if you go back and look, you remember Totoro's character in the first Transformers?
Yeah, where he was
the
some
crazy
secret-
Sector 7 guy
Yeah.
or whatever.
It was like,
He's the young agent that walks through Cena's office and tells him that he's got the phone call.
oh shit.
That was it. The name on his
Yeah.
tag was Totoro's character's
Damn,
name.
yeah.
So that's him younger.
That's how they connect
So
it.
they have the same character.
Yeah.
The only thing I was confused about is that they said that they had been hiding Megatron in Hoover Dam for a while in Transformers 1. That he had been
Yeah.
there a while or whatever. But he's not there. They go to Hoover Dam and Bumblebee, and they show Sector 7, and they show all the but Megatron is not there.
Yeah.
So I'm confused by that because they clearly set up Bumblebee's transition into the Camaro.
They was supposedly like the Hoover Dam was made to hide his energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they show Totoro's character as a young man. So why would they not? So they're going to have to re-explain Megatron.
Yeah.
And apparently maybe that was supposed to happen because I did hear that a huge scene that featured Megatron was cut from the film.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
What if we talk about DC wanting to restart and rebrand all the time. What if they just do those movies over again?
Yeah, and lead up eventually to the one that we saw, but they just are retconning it, I guess, to get there.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I liked the first one with Shia LaBeouf, and
Yeah, the
even
first
the
one was
second
good.
one was
Yeah.
okay. Was not a fan of the third and
Yeah.
fourth.
No.
So if they can retcon early and
Yeah.
kind of get you to the first two,
Yeah.
I think that'd be okay.
And then redo the second or the third and fourth.
It's a good
No, they're
bet.
just going to release the first one as a special edition and just say Megatron's been down here for 10 years.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
10
Well, it's a good
years.
bet that it's going to happen. Another one because they made a shit ton of money for the studio and for California.
Yeah.
The reason we bring Bumblebee up is because it made 22. Well, it received $22.5 million in tax incentives. Everybody knows now that's how you get movies made. You know, it's all about the tax incentives and the freebies that you get back for. And California suffered for a little bit. Georgia took a bunch of it from them.
Yeah.
Louisiana took a bunch from it. Vancouver and everything. So the new mayor is fighting and has been fighting since he took over to try to get Los Angeles back in the game and bring their productions back, and it's been working. So Bumblebee got $22.5 million in tax incentives, and in turn, the movie pumped in more than $85 million into California's economy while it was shooting. It employed almost 3,000 people who took home more than $50 million
Damn.
in wages while they worked on the film.
Yeah.
So
It was just good for the economy and the people for Los Angeles.
Exactly.
Like, that's
So
awesome.
anytime that the movie makes money, the studio makes money, and
Yeah.
where they shot it makes money, you can all but assure they're gonna
Yeah.
make another one.
Exactly.
So I feel
Yeah.
like
That would make sense.
what's that?
I said it only makes sense to do it
Yeah,
again.
yeah, and they shot in a lot too. Apparently, they're all over Los Angeles, San Francisco, Mammoth, and Santa Cruz. So I mean, they were all over the state. So
Yeah.
that's pretty
Who
good.
was it that directed? Was it Michael Bay?
Negative. It was not Michael Bay.
They don't want him on it anymore. I think they took him off that franchise.
Oh, really?
That's what I
Okay.
thought.
Not knew that.
They wanted to go more feely, kind of more emotion and not as action, which is why they kind of took Michael Bay out of it.
Kevin said that's why it was better, he bet.
Yeah.
Travis Knight was the director. Travis Knight, who directed
Yeah.
Paranorman. That's
Oh, he does some of the odd movies. Some
yeah,
of the other,
the Box Trolls. Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, see,
Okay.
interesting. Kind of like Weird Stories, but with actual emotional
emotional,
storylines. Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
yeah, but I mean, it was really good. I recommend it. Definitely go
Definitely.
see it. I reviewed that on Fantastic Reviews, so make sure to go check that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay, let's
that's right. That's right.
Shameless plug.
Now let's talk about IMAX a little bit. IMAX has set itself a new milestone, crossing over $1 billion at the 2018 worldwide box office. Oh my goodness. This is the first time in the company's 50-year history that it's reached this benchmark.
Yeah. First of all, congratulations, $1 billion.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not like it's a gazillion screens
Yeah.
like regular theaters.
No.
So, but can I just say, am I the only one? I had no idea IMAX has been around for 50 years.
I didn't know that either.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Maybe since the 90s, maybe? That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I think
when
I
they
remember
said
going
that-
to the Franklin Museum, and they had an IMAX screen in that. And we had a school field trip when I lived in Philly, and we went there, and they went into it, and
Yeah.
it was really awesome. But
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this isn't a museum. This is new technology.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're like, no.
And that's 96 or
Yeah.
95.
Yeah. So,
Maybe
I mean, I just
94.
thought that was the weird part of the headline. The
Yeah.
first time in its 50-year history, I'm like, wait, what?
IMAX is 50?
Yeah, I had no idea, honestly.
No.
I mean,
we need to go to more IMAX.
Especially
because
because they only when they shot Dark Knight, not Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan had 3 of the IMAX cameras. They were all brand
shit.
new, and there were only the 3 that were doing in full HD or such. I was
Damn.
like, wait, these movies were shot at this time.
Yeah,
What?
I didn't
It
know
wasn't
that.
HD already?
Wow, learn something new every day.
Oh,
I mean,
Michael
like,
Bay wasn't
seriously.
kicked off. I did look at. He was a producer on that. Let me take back. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't get
Just
anybody
Well,
on the
sure,
mad on the
sure.
internet.
Yeah.
And so industry news, it's been peppered with. We're talking, Star Wars. We're talking Aquaman. We're talking all kind. Why? Because Aquaman, in reference to the Marvel movies, because you can't talk about DC movies without Marvel. Well, because as we all know, Disney, like they rule Hollywood basically, and so now the news is coming out. Apparently, the merger will be complete, but by the end of January. So we're about a month away from the merger being a done deal.
Yeah.
And everybody's like freaking out because rumor has it that there may or may not already be some Fox Marvel heroes in one of the upcoming Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So, like, Endgame?
Could be potentially Endgame, could be Captain Marvel, could be, but I mean, and then everybody's like, no, the only one left to do reshoots is Spider-Man, the
Yeah.
sequel to Spider-Man, but
What about the other way? What about maybe Dark Phoenix?
I mean,
I didn't think
I don't
about
know.
There's the other way because
Yeah.
Dark Phoenix
Did
comes
Dark-
out later
yeah,
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean-
2019.
Yeah, so I think yes. I think they're all trying to play coy about it, but
Yeah.
I mean, I was adamant about the Watchers showed up in Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah,
and
you're
they
like, "Hey."
they belong to the Fantastic Four, which still belong to Fox. So
Yeah.
how did that happen?
Yeah.
I think Marvel has very candidly, very quietly, and very trickily, if that's even a word, trickily.
It is now.
Trickily. I think they filmed some Fox characters into the
Shit.
MCU.
It's Deadpool at the end of the movie, relaxing on a beach
right,
chair,
just-
says, "Oh,
I
had
don't
a
know,
fun
but-
time. Maybe we should join you."
I think I'm going to tell you who I think it is, and I would not be shocked at all if we see them pop up in Endgame at the end, and that's the Fantastic Four. They've been setting it
bunch.
up.
New bunch.
A
New
new
bunch,
bunch of
yeah.
the Marvel version of the Phantom, because they've been setting it up. They've clearly made the point that they're going cosmic.
Yeah.
They went with Guardians of the Galaxy. They're introducing Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
They're introducing Marvel.
Yeah.
They're doing the new group that's coming out, the Eternals, which takes place in space. You can't have a cosmic galaxy set up in the MCU without the
Four.
Fantastic Four
Yeah.
and Galactus.
Yeah.
I just think that they had them in the back,
Yeah.
and they're like, we're gonna film this on
Yeah.
the hopes that this merger is gonna go through,
Yeah.
and if not, we'll destroy it. Nobody will ever see it.
Nobody will
But
know.
if it does, we're gonna shock the shit out of people at the end of Endgame.
I would love to see the non-disclosure agreement that the actors, and
Right,
producers, and the
man.
writers of
Oh,
that.
but we all know they
thing
take that
did.
shit seriously.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Tom Holland blew one thing; they
Yeah,
locked him in prison, basically.
exactly.
Like,
No, well,
mean,
that might have been more joke. It might have been like a flub of a line. But that was more
they're
funny.
pretty hardcore about not letting. I
Yeah.
mean, Jeremy Gordon, who we just had on as a guest, he does the casting
Yeah.
for Cloak and Dagger and stuff, and he said, "I'm literally
Like,
only
listen.
allowed to say that I cast for them, and
Yeah.
I can't say anything else because it's
Exactly.
literally in his contract that he can't talk about it."
Exactly.
I mean, Marvel is hardcore.
Yeah.
But if he would have said something that was big and something that would have gotten him in trouble,
Right.
they would have went to black, and he wouldn't have been on
Right.
TV for like.
Nothing. We
They would've been all of a
we
sudden he's
have
not
the
on there.
power.
I mean, what do you guys think? Do you
do
think?
you think that Fantastic Four is gonna take the place of the Avengers?
Well, supposedly the Eternals is,
Yeah.
but I think the Fantastic Four and the Marvel has proven they can take these characters and do them right.
Yeah.
So what Marvel would do with the Fantastic Four, I'm excited as shit
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
Honestly. I love the rumors. And it started as a fan rumor, but I'm hoping. I mean, Feige kind of like put the eyebrow up and kind of liked it. I would love to see Emily Blunt and Krasinski be Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That would be
I
epic.
mean,
Wow.
Richards.
Yeah.
Wow,
Like,
really?
They, I mean, they have epic chemistry. We saw that in A Quiet Place.
I mean, if they were Reed Richards and Susan Richards, and
Yeah.
then you built around them as that, oh my god, I just
Yeah.
think they'd be epic.
exactly.
I mean,
well, I mean, I liken that.
Well, who takes over for Chris Evans then?
yeah.
Man.
Well, he's Captain America, goddamn.
Yeah, he's
We're
Captain
gonna have to
America
have somebody
now.
else
No, I'm
now.
talking about before he was Captain America. He
Yeah.
was. I
I think they could definitely use like the whole R&D family as like an emotional like avenue to help people be okay with it too. Be like, well, we're doing it because Sam would have wanted it. You
Yeah.
know? That's
Oh.
going to be one of their biggest, like, well, Sam would have wanted the whole universe to be connected and all this stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think they're definitely gonna
Absolutely.
use them.
That's a great idea on how to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I hope it's true. Because they can't make it happen fast enough as far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned. I want to see the X-Men and I want to see Fantastic Four. I want to see all these people in the
Yeah.
MCU.
I
So-
think the most that I'm excited for and want to see is Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool
That's
and
who I
Wolverine.
want to see.
Yeah.
Like
in the MCU.
In the MCU.
Yeah, like together.
Yeah.
I know everybody's talking about having them make a movie together, but
No.
just if they appear in an MCU movie
Yeah.
somewhere together, it
Yeah.
would be amazing.
It-
Like,
Yeah, especially if they can take the pressure off of Hugh Jackman
Exactly.
and just say, look, we're not going to have you do all these over-the-top action scenes. I mean, we'll have you do some of them, but have your stunt person
Right.
there on scene.
Exactly.
But I mean, come on, Hugh Jackman is still like in pristine shape.
He's huge.
And even if he is looking a little older in the face, for Christ's sake, they've proven over the last 5 years with this technology, they can make him look 20.
Yeah.
I mean, so he can keep playing Wolverine for as
Yeah.
long as he wants to. I mean, let's be honest about it.
What were you
So
going to
do you
say,
think they'll
Tatum?
keep it rated R, or do you think they'll water it down to PG-13?
See, that's the question.
Right? I feel like they got
Well,
it
that's
perfect
what
in
they're
Logan.
that's what they
Yeah.
tested out with Deadpool. Once Upon a Deadpool.
Yeah.
That's what they were testing to see if it can be successful enough to hold at a PG-13 level. I don't know. I think they could. They just have to put a bleep up there and then have him refer to, seriously, y'all bleeped and silenced
Well,
me?
I feel like if they were going to try that out, they should have just done a completely different story. Why tell the same story? That's going to kill you at the box
Yeah.
office.
Well,
Nobody's
yeah.
going to go see that.
But I think it's just a more of experimental to see
Right,
how people would take it.
Yeah.
More than I don't think they're doing a limited run and then they're gonna release that onto DVD or the Blu-ray in the secondary market. I think it was just a test run.
I don't know. It would be hard though to have, now that we've seen Logan,
Yeah.
and they finally got him right. It would be hard to have them revert back to the PG-13 version of it
Exactly.
to fit into the
Yeah,
MCU.
like,
It would be hard.
Exactly.
I mean,
the first words he says on that is, "Oh, fuck."
fuck. Exactly. So yeah, it'll be.
It'd be interesting.
It'll be hard.
Yeah.
And you never. While you see tragedy in the MCU, you don't see blood.
Yeah, it's true.
You saw a lot of blood in Logan.
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh
saying.
yeah, there's
So,
buckets just sitting on the
Yeah,
side. Buckets
I
and
don't
buckets.
know how they're gonna make that work, but
Yeah.
I know everybody wants it to happen, so we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
I mean, the bigger question is, I think we all know RDJ's contract is up.
Yeah. So what happens?
Yeah.
What happens?
I don't know.
I mean,
Does he come back? He's the Godfather.
Does he
is,
does he
man.
pass away in that spaceship floating around
Or
without any
is-
food, thinking about Pepper?
Okay, now here's a good transition. Or is it time to RDJ like what they just did to Johnny Depp?
No.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
They will never do that to
Pirates.
him.
No, you would hope not.
I know.
You'd hope
I don't think
But Disney did just announce though that Johnny Depp will officially not be a part of any more of the Pirates movies in the reboot. So
No.
That just what are you gonna do now? There's gonna have to be a whole different story. Like,
well, that's a question. Are they just gonna? I guess reboot it. Like,
reboot it, like new stories. I think you should just completely go away from the original characters. I
don't know.
mean,
They might just say, "What's his name? Son trying to look for dad who's stuck on the
on the what's it called? The dead man's.
dead man's chest." David Jones's ship.
yeah.
He's on that ship, controlling it. It could be the son trying to go out there and find dad and becoming a pirate
Well, I thought
himself.
that's what the third one was, because I'm a little hazy on the third and fourth one, but I don't know.
The one that didn't have Orlando Bloom was the one where they went
That was
down.
the fourth one. Yeah,
That's the fourth one.
he came in at the very end, but
And
yeah.
He came in at the very end. That was his son.
I thought he took over the Orlando Bloom.
Orlando
took over
Bloom
the
took over
ship.
that,
Yeah.
and it was like that one was showing like him coming up shore or seeing
Yeah,
his son
and
or
his
something
son.
What
like
about
that.
Keira Knightley bailed after the second one, right? She wasn't in the third or the fourth one, right?
I think
She was just in the first one. I don't think she even went to the
Was
second.
she?
I think she was in the third one. I think.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
I agree with Logan though. I think J
It
Lo
has to be completely different.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think J Lo's right. I think same thing that we were just talking about with Disney.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, continue in the universe, but show a different pirate,
Exactly.
and different parts of and just move in a different direction with different
Well, like
characters.
showing off maybe the Chinese pirates or going
Yeah,
over
just
Right,
for
go
the-
into anything else.
It can. Yeah, I mean, it can take place in the same universe, in
Yeah.
the same thing where he exists.
Yeah.
But just use different characters.
Because in I believe it was either the second one or the third one, they showed like the Pirates Council and of all
Right.
the like different pirates of the different seas and everything. So
Right.
yeah, you could just span off right there.
Or maybe they're going to do his dad's character,
Oh.
Johnny Depp's dad's character,
Oh, I
which
didn't
was
even
played
know.
in that scene, played by Rolling Stones Keith
yeah.
Richards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Do
yeah,
his
that's-
story
yeah,
because
that was-
he had an
Yeah.
interesting story.
And now the real question: are they going to remove him from the rides at Disneyland and
Ooh.
Disney World?
Yeah,
Remember,
'cause
they
he's in
spent all
there.
that money to put Johnny Depp in there
He's
now,
like,
because now are they going to take him back out?
Right.
Yeah, but what is he
Like-
going to do on his free time when he comes out to the ride and goofs around and does his character
Right?
on the
I
ride?
mean, he's not going to know what to do.
It's gonna be
I
crazy.
mean-
It will definitely be crazy. Now let's talk about this crazy weird video. Okay.
Oh.
Kevin Spacey put out a
Very
video on Christmas. He was Frank from House of Cards. He was playing that character, and basically the whole time he was just making fun of the show, saying it was awful. But this video did get like 4.5 million views in 24 hours.
Yeah, a lot.
It could be
of
all the
people-
news stations trying to get all the feed off of it, and then everybody else talking.
My phone
about
was
it.
blowing up from
It-
notifications
Yeah,
from it.
this is weird because apparently right before this video was released, and he must have gotten wind from his lawyers. He knew it was all coming down. Right before this video was released, he was officially charged with new charges,
Right.
new sexual assault charges. And so right after that was announced, then he dropped this video.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's Frank Underwood in the video.
Yeah.
He's playing Frank.
Yeah.
And you think, like J-Lo said, it starts off and he's critiquing the final season of
Right.
House of Cards, and he's basically saying how much it sucked and that everybody really wanted him to be in it, and that they need to make the final season again and do it right, and they can do that because in this season that they just showed, they never actually showed Frank die. So he could still be around and they could bring him back and they should do it. But then it awkwardly turns into this whole, you shouldn't judge people or think they're guilty with no evidence.
Yeah.
And we'll let the
Yeah.
people decide. And I'm looking forward to proving myself to the public. And it turned into this weird, don't believe all this sexual assault
Yeah.
stuff. But he kept doing it as Frank Underwood.
Frank.
It was
Yeah.
just really creepy.
Yeah, the video is titled "Let Me
I
Be
think,
Frank."
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think sometimes these celebrities, they get so, like, I don't know, out of touch. They
Yeah.
lose touch of reality and, like, how the real world works. But it sounds like it's kind of out there. It sounds like it's kind of touch a little bit.
He
Yeah.
lost
Yeah.
it. He's lost
Yeah.
his mind a little bit. He
I mean,
became Frank.
Maybe he is going crazy. We saw that one movie did awful at the box office. Like nobody
Yeah,
went and
nobody-
saw it.
well,
Nobody.
Okay, it's always like we always talk about. It's so important in this industry about the people you surround yourself with, or
Yeah.
the people that you're with. Okay, his lawyers, they tried to make these charges not happen. They
Yeah.
tried to stop it before he was actually. Oh, I think we lost him. Must be a bad part of the storm.
Or just went through the mountainous area that doesn't have signal.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
Let's try to get it back
I'm
on.
thinking coincidence though a little bit.
Oh,
I'm thinking just a slight bit coincidence because of you can just upload a video to YouTube and then set the date for it to go public.
yeah.
And then it happened at the same time because it didn't. I don't know if it was shot right there, right that same day
Yeah.
or so.
Yeah. Oh, well, I
mean, it
don't
could
know.
be.
But here's the point I wanted to make about his lawyers, though.
Hey,
Hey,
Hey.
all right. Where'd you go through a tunnel? What the hell? No.
no, I'm just in rural Louisiana, so.
Okay. All right. So what I was gonna say is his lawyers, they tried to stave this off before the charges were actually brought. They were trying to get it tossed out before the judge even officially charged Kevin Spacey this time, and they walked into court and their defense was literally, they didn't try to defend saying this didn't happen, this kid is lying, none of this is real, kind of. Their defense was literally, Your Honor, he allowed Kevin to grope him for 3 full minutes, so it couldn't possibly be of unwanted. And I'm like, that's your you're going in there and saying, okay, Kevin did it, but he did it for 3 minutes, so the kid must have liked it, so you can't charge him. And I'm like, what? Clear. So the judge obviously is like, you guys are fucking crazy.
Exactly.
He's being charged to get out of my courtroom. Like,
Exactly.
but that was their defense, that the kid let him grope him for
Yeah.
3 full minutes, so he must have wanted it. And I'm like, if that's your defense, you're in big trouble. I mean, I'm
Exactly.
just... I think
Yeah, that don't sound good.
no, I think Tavia's right. I think they get to this level where they just believe that they've gotten away with it for so long,
Yeah.
they can just keep doing shit.
Exactly.
And people are going to be like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
And, I mean, it's like, no, just Kevin Spacey. I'm going to say what we said to Weinstein and to Les Moonves and to all these people. Just go away. You should be in prison.
You should
be
be.
happy that you're not.
Exactly.
Just shut up and go away.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
Well, something else I've been thinking about recently is even if the initial answer is yes, anytime that person says no during, then it's off. You should just
You can
stop.
say no at any point.
That's
Yeah,
right.
anytime.
exactly. It
That's
doesn't
right.
matter if the initial yes was there, but if they feel uncomfortable or anything during, then you should just stop.
Yeah,
There's no point.
No means no at any point.
Exactly.
I mean, that's because that's another argument they're trying to make. The kid himself, and we should say this: he was 18 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but he admits apparently in testimony that he did approach Kevin Spacey. He did lie about his age. He did ask for Spacey's number or to exchange numbers with Spacey.
Yeah.
And he did admit that he had had at least 10 drinks and
Yeah.
was drunk.
Yeah.
So all of that would lead you to believe he was attempting to hook up with
Yeah.
Spacey. But like Logan just said, even if all of that is true and he let Spacey put the hand in the pants, once he said no, once he said,
That's
okay,
it.
I'm not okay with this,
Yeah.
Spacey needed to stop.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
so I don't know. I mean, but it's just, it seems like every day there's a new one.
Exactly.
And I mean, we just, I don't know.
It's crazy. It really
What
is.
have we said since the very first show, our very first show almost a year ago? If Tom Hanks goes out, I mean,
so-
we're done if
Yeah.
Tom Hanks gets an accusation.
Seriously.
I mean, it literally, though, it just seems like people you would never expect.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, shit, what?
fuck.
I mean, not Kevin, because there's been rumors about Kevin for
Forever.
years.
There was.
But there are just people like, wait, who?
Yeah,
What?
like, what?
So it's crazy. I think J-Lo nailed it. No means no. So even if you're all like, yeah, no, all you can listen to is the no. Forget all the yeahs before. You heard no. You
Exactly.
got to stop. I mean, it's
Exactly.
that simple. It's really that simple.
Agreed.
So but this next one caused quite a bit of controversy.
This one's
as well.
interesting. This one's
Dun-dun,
interesting.
dun-dun,
James
dun-dun,
Bond
dun-dun.
thinking about being replaced by a trans actor.
A trans actor.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with this as long as they keep the character a guy.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting because this was actually a concept thrown out by another actor, Dominic West, who's in the new BBC version of Les Miserables. And
Yeah.
he was doing an interview for it.
Yeah.
And they asked him about Idris Elba and like his thoughts on Tom Hardy taking over.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I like both those actors and I think they'd be great. But I'll tell you what would really be interesting
Yeah.
is if it was a trans actor that would be it. And he was inspired for this answer because he had just worked on Colette,
Yeah.
which apparently he co-starred with a trans actor
Yeah.
in it. And this trans actor's wife is a trans actor
Oh, wow.
who actually serves in the military
Damn.
overseas
Yeah.
and is like does spy type stuff and like is a legit
Shit.
like and he thought how cool would it be
Yeah.
for Bond to be like this trans person who's
Yeah.
actually a trans and does all this spy because they actually exist.
Yeah.
And so that's all he meant. He said but he followed up with that going, but I also think Tom Hardy and Idris
Right,
would be great.
yeah.
But it didn't matter. All people heard was, oh shit, a trans actor
Yeah,
playing,
right. Yeah.
and they just ran with it.
Exactly.
I'm like you. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is what it is.
it is what it is.
Let 'em.
I mean, actors are actors.
Exactly.
Like,
I
I
don't
mean,
understand. I don't even understand why in that type of movie they even need to specify. I don't even
Specifically?
Specify.
specifically. I think I was trying to blend the two words
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something. I don't even understand why they have to acknowledge gender.
No.
Exactly.
Well, or
Well,
and
because
or-
he's usually a male chauvinistic pig in a lot of stuff, to where he kind of
but it's also
plays that, where he's always a
because
womanizer.
yeah.
there's also been the premise that the author of the James Bond movies never made it clear that James Bond wasn't just a code name, and that there were numerous James Bonds, and some could indeed be women.
Yeah.
So you're referring to the Casino Royale, where it's constantly different code names,
right?
Yeah.
And
right.
like in Her Majesty's Secret Service, the other guy never had this much trouble.
Exactly. Right. I think that Bond is literally just a code name for that organization of spies. And anybody could be James Bond, because remember, people freaked out with the idea of having it be a woman. Like, why couldn't it be a woman? Why can't Bond just... Ian Fleming never specifies, like you said, what gender James Bond is. Could be a woman, a man, a woman who is, goes after men. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
I just...
Or a man going
That would
after
be
men.
interesting. I mean, to have someone who was like kind of androgynous that could go undercover as a man or a woman, that would be kind of interesting, because there's there's a lot of people that are trans or gender fluid that don't really stick to one set of gender rules or looks or anything like that. I think that would be kind of a useful, like,
Yeah, it could actually be a plot point, or adding more plot point, or more meat to the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point, Tavia, because if I read the article right, I want to say that the co-star in Colette with Dominic West was actually playing a straight guy. So you're right. I feel like there's probably so many talented trans actors that could play a man or a woman and be believable in whatever the role.
Honestly.
And like, it would be like perfect for a spy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You don't know if it's a man or a woman. You
You're
don't know,
like,
like,
well, shit.
I mean, I think it would be perfect.
Exactly.
I mean,
It should be interesting.
Yeah.
It's an idea. It's thrown out there. Let's see if anybody hooks on it.
I just
Anybody hooks on it.
I mean, I think it's time, right? We've talked about this on numerous shows before, but I think it should just always come down to who's the best actor or
Exactly.
actress for the role.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be this is a man's role or a woman's role.
Exactly.
It's just who is if it's a trans actor, if it's I'm so tired of. I like Michael B. Jordan's argument about all they wanted me to do is read for black men roles.
Yeah.
I just want to read for a
roles.
male role. Like, why does it have to be a black role?
Exactly.
So he just started reading for white people's roles.
Exactly.
It's like, no, I'm just going to read for the role. I think it should be like that for sex. It should be like that for race.
Yep.
It should just be like whoever the best actor is.
Yeah.
100%. That's what we covered last week.
Yeah, and remember, we talked about it, a few months back. There's actually been a couple directors and writers who have actually changed the character from a man to a woman or a woman to a man because of the audition of an actor. And I mean, I think that's sometimes the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Agreed.
then you don't end up with movies that lose $60 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you put the wrong person in the role. I mean,
Exactly.
you shouldn't. You got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Seriously. And speaking.
Oh no, this ain't gonna be great for our favorite TV shows, our favorite movies.
Right.
This feels like what happened to Heroes and
Yeah.
all of that other stuff at that
like the
time.
hockey, anybody. The union and labor and actors and basically everybody going on strike for the beginning of 2019.
Yeah, it looks like that actors are going to go on strike against companies, advertising agencies, which
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bread and butter.
It is.
That's
Yeah. How many actors are doing commercials? How many big actors? Samuel L. Jackson is everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like
dude.
so.
Capital One.
Even commercials that you don't actually see a celebrity, they're usually voicing somebody or doing a voice over in the and they get paid a shit ton of money.
Exactly.
But there's got to be a reason. I think some rules are changing or they're not happy. We'll dive more into this at the beginning of the year, but it looks like they're going to go on strike against the ad companies. That's going to be just huge. Like you said, Chris brought up a good point.
Yeah, because we had at the bottom here it says the potential writers' walkout against their agents is looming just a week later.
So,
after the 31st, a week later, the writers' strike.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had a writers' strike, and that ruined so many shows. You had Heroes just starting as an infant show.
Mm-hmm.
It was building a huge fan base, and then they had a year where it just died out, and then the show never recovered from that. It had
That
so
sucks.
much potential and was gone.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shows. There's a weird season of Lost. Didn't that getting logged into it? There's a ton of
That's so
shows at that
true.
time.
Yeah, that writer's strike really did screw up a lot. So I'm hoping this writer's strike doesn't. It screwed up the Oscars.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, it happened during the award season, and
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have comedy writers for the award
Damn,
shows and stuff.
yeah.
You can imagine what that was like. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
seriously.
just
Holy
having
shit.
a Price Waterhouse come out and try to be funny, it
Right.
wasn't funny. It's like, the winner is. The winner is.
That's
I
all we
mean,
got for
it
you.
sucked. Writers are important.
Yeah.
Shit doesn't happen without the writers.
Exactly.
I mean,
Oh my
so,
Which is so all these great shows, especially Netflix is heating up an engine of tons of writers trying to put out a lot of content because this next year they're losing a lot of their bot content
Yeah.
and putting in a lot more original
Right.
content. Well, you got a writer's strike coming up. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It-
Yeah,
that's-
like,
you
what the
know,
fuck?
that's-
Amazon and
That's a
Disney
great-
Go, Disney was it Disney Go or Disney Now?
Disney
Yeah,
Disney
Disney
Plus.
Disney Plus.
And Hulu. Everybody's trying to put original content along with all the content you already have out there on
yeah.
the main networks
that's a
and the cable
brilliant
channels.
point. When you're getting ready to come into a transition period and you're starving for content and you don't have writers.
Yeah. Like, no shit.
Like, who's gonna? And on the flip side of that, then you have people like Tavia, who's a writer. But if you're a newbie writer and you're not in the union yet, and you cross that picket line because they want writers,
Yeah.
you're basically like ostracized from it.
Yeah.
Like once the strike's over, you're never fucking working here
Exactly.
again. I mean, so what do you do?
Exactly.
And somehow I just roped Netflix into this. Netflix was not in our news feed today, but I
man.
still stitched it into a story.
There it is. There it is. 'cause
I
we
got
love
the
Netflix.
reference.
There it is. There it is.
Man, that's a lot of shit to end the year with.
It is. It is. But man, let's end it with a great interview by the one and only Luke Guldan. Man, I can't wait to talk to this guy. He's been on The Good Place, Broad City, Tell Me a Story, a whole bunch of different stuff. He's also a male model, so I know a lot of females out there are going to be excited about this one.
And little Cam brought this up to me, and I had no idea because she remembered or whatever. But apparently, Luke has worn a kilt on Gossip Girl.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Like, so we'll find out about that.
Oh yeah, we
gotta
got
ask
that.
him.
We got that confirmed. We have the audience in there confirming for us.
See,
I guess.
I knew it. I mean, I can't wait to tell him because that was the response. It's
Yeah.
just like all these females, like, oh, the guy in the kilt on Gossip Girl. Like, what?
Well, damn.
But we'll find out.
Yeah.
All right, here he is. He's calling.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? Is this Dustin?
It is, man. Is this Luke?
It is, but you just broke up. I lost you.
Can you hear us? Are you
I can hear you now.
All right.
I'm good. I'm good.
Fantastic, man. Well, listen, I'm here, Dustin, and Logan is also joining us today.
What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, Logan? What's going on, man?
Living the dream, man. Living the dream.
Nice. Where are you guys based out of?
Well, we are currently just outside New Orleans. We're getting ready to make the move over to L.A. In about a month, though.
Oh, man. Congratulations. 2019 coming in big.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
coming in big, man. The podcast is kind of blown up. We're making the move, and yeah, living the dream, bro.
That's awesome. So one of the last remaining from the original New Orleans podcast, man.
That's right. That's right. So we're pretty pumped. Well, listen, man, we're pumped about having you join us inside the Crazy Ant Farm today. I mean, looking at your resume, you know, doing the research on you and getting ready for the interview and everything, man, you've been on some big stuff, buddy. I mean, the Good Place, Blue Bloods, Law and Order, SVU. I mean, Tell Me a Story. Yeah, I'd say you're living the dream too, man.
Living it day by day. Thank you. Yeah, I've been definitely blessed with some of the opportunities I've had along the way so far, and looking forward to what's next as well.
Absolutely. You're a Gator. We should mention that you're a Gator.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yes.
Go Gators, man,
That's right.
for sure.
We're big SEC down here, so of course that's pretty popular.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah, SEC, big time. Big. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And before we even get started, we should let you know that when we kind of hinted out to the listeners that you were coming on the show, we had a lot of female listeners very interested in the fact that you were coming on the show. So you've got a pretty big fan base, bud.
Hoot, hoot, yes.
We'll
Awesome. Thanks for the insider.
Oh, yeah,
info.
no problem. We'll get into the female listener fan base in a little bit, but just to give you the heads up. So listen, man, what we like to do is this. It's not so much a Q&A as it is just a round table, just a few guys sitting around having a conversation and just having a good time. So
Awesome.
what we like to do is kind of give a little background for all the listeners, though, about who you are and kind of how you got into the industry and where you got. So I guess first, is acting something you always saw yourself doing? Is it something that you wanted to pursue early on, or how did the whole career come about?
So, I think about a couple of different things. Oh man, I was just I guess I go on random tangents, so just cut me off if I go too far off. So I was just looking at, if you're familiar with the play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead with Tom Stoppard, so basically they are talking about like their first memory, like what they recollect, and he's like, I can't remember anything. He's like, nothing. I don't. And he's like, no, the memory you first remember. So basically, I guess when I go back and I think about it each time, it's something different. But right now, I'm thinking of I went to a camp when I was younger, and they always would do like skits and stuff like that, and I thought it was just so much fun. Like, and you had each age division doing different things and kind of goofing around. So I guess that was my first experience with acting, and I really liked it. But I was more into the athletics back then, so I had like a bit of stage fright going. So I was always like nervous about doing that. So it was something that I was most interested in, but also that was kind of the most challenging as well.
That's interesting because, I mean, athletics, there has to be a bit of showmanship. So the fact that you were kind of had a little stage fright with the acting, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And then when I got more into, so I did a lot of sports and stuff, and then I got into the bodybuilding. So you'd be on stage, basically in your underwear alone, and you'd have to do like a posing routine to some coordinated music and have that choreographed and stuff. So yeah, no real nerves with that stuff. But then with some of the other type of stage things, yeah, I had a lot of stage fright for sure that I needed to kind of work on, I guess.
I could just say Luke walks into the audition. Can I do this in my underwear? And I'm just gonna choreograph.
Yeah, I guess being completely stripped down, and I guess what it is with the athletics is it's really it's not as much as a subjective thing. So, like, if you really put the time in and, you could either shoot the basketball in or your physique looks a certain way, like, you're really confident. But I guess you could do something as far as the acting and stuff, and one person might like it and another person might think it's terrible. So,
it is very subjective. That's an excellent point. Excellent point. So, speaking of, so let's go into the athletics a little bit. I mean, you did get into bodybuilding, and we're going to talk about that a lot because you've graced the covers of several dozen magazines, national magazines and publications, which is pretty awesome. But so we mentioned that you're a Gator. University of Florida, was it athletics that you were there for? Is that kind of the path you took, or did you do some acting in between?
So like we were saying before we started the interview, with the SEC being so big, I grew up in the Northeast, so I wasn't really exposed to how huge that is.
Right.
So growing up, like, on varsity sports since like my freshman year in high school, and doing 3 varsity sports while competing, winning like Mr. Team New York. So I consider myself, and I identify myself as a huge athlete. But ironically or coincidentally, when I got to college, I was competing and like really getting deep into the competitive bodybuilding. And since I didn't play a sport, you were no longer called an athlete. So if you didn't play on the sports team, you were like, they called everyone who was on a team an athlete, and then everybody else just like completely normal. So I was like, oh man, this is pretty intense. So me and my friends would joke about that a bit. But yes, I was definitely, I did some intramurals and stuff, but that's really when I started getting into like big picture down the line on what I was going to do with the bodybuilding, because I had just come off a win, and now I needed to know what I was going to do.
Oh, that's awesome. And is the bodybuilding, would you say the bodybuilding was your stepping stone into the acting career, or did that just kind of fall into place after the bodybuilding?
Yeah, that was the big in. My high school also had a big annual bodybuilding show. It was called the Fort Hamilton High School Annual Bodybuilding Show, and it was we had so many high schools in the area, you know, growing up in Brooklyn, like a huge city, and we were the only high school that ever had it. So, and it had a huge turnout, like 2,000 people every year would come out and see, and I had a huge graduating class. So it was like a big deal to do that and to win. So I got into that with wanting to use that to transition into the acting full time, because the only real insight into behind the scenes of acting that I really was exposed to was like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Van Damme and Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren, you know, Bruce Lee, like these guys that use their physiques or athleticism to kind of get into the acting.
Right. Well, that makes sense. I mean, and I'd say they're all doing pretty well.
Right.
So,
Yes, doing very well. But then again, once I kind of got a little deeper down the rabbit hole, you kind of realize, like, oh man, there's only one Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So like it's a very specific niche of actors, whereas, you know, acting as a whole is pretty competitive. But when you're looking to be that specific, it can have its challenges as well, you know?
Absolutely.
That I found out.
Absolutely. So what would you consider your first big role? I mean, what do you think that kind of broke the ground and got you in?
Man, first big role. So I guess this is like a two-part answer. So basically, my first big role, and it's because of, like, for a long time, and maybe some other actors that are listening and stuff will understand this, is like you can have like an agent, but also the way you procure work is by like self-submission or submitting yourself or people you know and stuff like that. So
Right.
for a long time, I was doing just a lot of self-submission type stuff. So I got a lead in a feature film, SAG feature film, by submitting like a few auditions and tapes through Backstage. So that was like my first huge thing. And that was a film called The Waterman, and which was awesome. It was like an action horror type movie. And then my first real deal big role, because it was my first gig that I booked through agents, was a show called Broad City.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that was like probably the two, you know, hand-in-hand biggies that are standouts as far as like the first real deal stuff.
Well, that's fantastic. And I like that you bring that up, because we will, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the interview, because we always ask for advice for our listeners. We do have a lot of listeners that are looking to break into the industry, so we love having guests on that kind of share those stories. Do you still self-submit, even though, or do you go just all through your agent now?
So it's kind of, I guess everything is a case by case. So I do some self-submission, but I guess listener beware. You want to, but I'm also in like great communication with my reps and stuff like that too, because I guess there's sometimes a discrepancy where you don't want to like submit for something that your people and reps might have submitted you for. So
Right.
like I have a pretty good communication, but it's like usually through kind of I've got like somebody who's working on something, or like just recently I put out a tape for someone like I did that gave me the heads up that was in the wardrobe department. And she was like, we're looking for someone, and my agents might not have been savvy to that. So like, I just like submitted for that, you know, or kind of just figuring it out as you go, but making sure there's a good communication there, I think is cool.
Absolutely. And communication and surrounding yourself with a good team, I mean, it's imperative in this industry for sure.
Yes, it is. And sometimes it takes a little while, you know, to find the right people. Like they might be great and you might be great, but like you guys want to be on the same wavelength, I found.
Right.
Like that's like the real deal, like when you guys really start jiving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay. So we have a couple of fans of the show that were really excited. They knew right away who you were from Gossip Girl. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
awesome.
What was that like? I mean, that was quite an interesting and eclectic cast. I mean, you're talking Taylor Momsen and just so many different people. What was that like on that show?
So that is one of the big, I mean, that's like such an iconic show because everyone loves that show.
Absolutely.
And it's also a New York show, so like there's a couple of big New York shows that, especially being a New York actor, you really want to kind of be part of that history. So those were, I'm trying to think, they were a little while ago. So one was a huge all I remember is like interesting wardrobes because one of the setups, we literally shot it in the back of a. They have this huge studio where there's a wardrobe, like they have like just thousands of different outfits hanging and all of this stuff. So we shot it basically in the back room of like a wardrobe thing, actually, and you would never have been able to notice that. So it was really kind of interesting. And the director. So what was awesome about it was I got to work hands on hand. It was a really, kind of a one-off bit.
Right.
But I got to work with Tate Donovan, and who I'm like, oh man, and he's like he's a huge film and TV actor, but I knew him a lot from stage. He did a lot of stage work.
Right.
So that was really cool to work with him and be around him. And then the other time was I wore like this Scottish kilt thing, like a real dressed up, like bagpipey kind of thing. and it was just a huge event. So it was just awesome and everyone was fun. So I just remember it being very, like, if I could say one thing about Gossip Girl, it was just elegant. You know what I mean? It was like that whole upper crust kind of like elegant lifestyle. So I got a little piece of that and it was a ton of fun.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a great story. And like you said, I mean, it was such a huge, I guess, pop culture show. I mean, immediately they knew right away, oh yeah, he's the Scottish aristocrat guy on I mean, so
that's so funny. The aristocrat, like, that was awesome.
So it must have been memorable. I guess you and the kilt was memorable. So that, congratulations.
That's awesome.
Okay, so let's move on a little bit. You also have the dubious distinction of being arrested by Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
Blue Bloods. Okay, so like you said, New York actor. They have so many outstanding productions going on in New York. I mean,
Yeah.
Blue Bloods, Law and Order. I mean, just I can off the top of my head can think of so many, and it's got to be fun to be a New York actor and be able to shoot in such an amazing city. So, I mean, Blue Bloods. What Tom Selleck, Donnie. Like, talk about that for a little bit. What's that experience like?
Okay, so this is actually a piggyback off your other question. I didn't think of it. So fortunately, I shot like one day, like say it was Monday, I was shooting Broad City, and then Tuesday I was shooting Blue Bloods.
Oh.
So I shot those at the same time, but like I found out about Broad City first, and then agreed to it, and then almost couldn't do Blue Bloods because they were conflicting. One day was conflicting of the shoots, but the people on Broad City were awesome, and they moved one day, so I was able to do both, which was like awesome. So that being said, working on the Blue Bloods, one of the big things that comes to mind was because that one was like a big deal. Like that was so huge for me and awesome, and everyone was great to work with. And the audition process. So the auditions happened like really quick, and it was like on a holiday, and I went in and we had a couple of the scenes, and then didn't hear anything, and then went back to the producer session where you have all the directors and producers and stuff in the room, and basically you just do the same scenes. And I wore the same shirt. I had this I wore this cut off, like over the top Arnold Schwarzenegger tank top shirt. And I cut off the sleeve. It was like one of my favorite shirts. So I cut off, because the guy he works in a gym and stuff like that, the character. So I cut the sleeves off to make it like a real muscly tee. And when I went into the callback, right when I got in, we were joking around and everyone was joking around a bit. And then one of the main producers said something about my shirt. He's like, I love that shirt. And then right then and there, because it was my Arnold shirt, I just felt awesome. And like, I knew I had the thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a random story. But I guess working on the show, one of the big scenes I remembered was shooting. A big thing for me up until that point was shooting in New York City, yes, but a lot of New York actors will know this. They put up the signs, like what production is shooting, and then you see the trailers and all of that stuff. So like when you're walking around the city as an actor, you're like, I want to be on that, like working literally on the street.
Right.
So
Right.
we did a setup that was literally on the street because we did the first part of the scene started in a restaurant that was kind of outside, and then we had to run off, and that's right when Donnie kind of arrests me, like catches me and stuff.
Right.
So we were doing that with hired extras, but then there was also real New Yorkers around, and just the
That's
energy
cool.
of the city and doing what you were like dreaming of doing. So that was just pretty awesome. Like that's definitely a highlight of doing it in the streets.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's if I'm not mistaken, for all the listeners out there, they can catch that. That's in your demo reel, so they can see that scene if they want to.
Oh yeah, they could catch it on the demo, or I think Blue Bloods is on Netflix too. If you got the Netflix, check it out.
Absolutely,
Check it out.
absolutely, man, absolutely. And so we got to talk about the machine that is Law and Order.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had several guests who have been on Law and Order, and they all just talk about it. What an experience it was, and how well operated it is. But very cohesive as a family and as a group, and they're very welcoming. But still, just this huge operation that's like a machine that just clicks on every level. What was that like? Because I mean, your episode was pretty. The subject matter was I mean, not they're all interesting, but I mean, this one with the athletics, I'm sure you kind of fell right into it with the football and all the different stuff. It was pretty highly rated episode and dealt with some serious subject matter. But what was it like being on Law and Order? I mean, SVU, obviously. What was that like? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, SVU is the big one. That's the seal of approval for the New Yorker, man. So that just in itself was great. So again, I mean, a lot of these things, and I think it might be interesting because it's a lot what listeners might not see or hear is the kind of the behind the scenes in the sense of the auditioning process, even like I have no idea about some of that stuff. And basically with this one specifically, I had auditioned for a different role, and it was a ton of material and stuff. And even into the callbacks, that's the scene that I did. And then I think on a Friday night, I got a call from my agents and they offered me another role. And I was like, oh, awesome. So it was completely fresh. Like I had never seen the material before. And then we were going to start shooting that Monday or something like that. So at least with the other material, like you've done it in front of a few people, like you did it for the original audition, and then you're doing it for the callback. So this time, like, I was like, oh man, it was real fresh. So I've never done it before in front of anybody. So like you're coming in really like cold, you know what I mean? So,
right. But
that was kind of cool too, that like you could do whatever you wanted to do realistically. So it was pretty great. Like I remember having like you were saying, because it was with all the athletics, it was just, for me, it reminded me of, do you remember did you guys ever see the movie Varsity Blues?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and you remember Scott Caan's character, Tweaker?
Yep.
Like the dude who was just going nuts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So the character kind of reminded me of that a little bit. Like when he comes in, like he's the guy on the team who's like really gonna like, steal the cop car and ride it around naked, you know what I mean? Kind of deal. So basically it was just like a free reign to have fun. And like a lot of the stuff was because it was that type of episode or character. Every time you were with like a cop, like Ice-T or the other detective, you could just mess with them. You know what I mean? Just mess with them, kind of like you would want to do in like real life, but never get to do. So
right.
All those elements were just a ton of fun. It was like the lines you want to say is like, I ain't telling you the truth. Like I'm not like I want my lawyer type, type stuff. So it was like being on the show and then getting to say like really fun lines, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. I love that story, man. That's fantastic. Well, congratulations, because like you said, I mean, I think for a New York actor doing any series or any, I mean, like you said, Law and Order, that series of shows is the benchmark, and so congratulations, man, for nailing that. There's one that I want to talk about before we get to the two current series that really jumped out at me. Addicted. I think that's that's such a relevant storyline nowadays. I mean, I can't tell you the times that we've heard. We used to be in journalism and news before we started doing this, and so
awesome. Same.
yeah. So the amount of stories that you would do on a daily basis of people addicted to Adderall and college students and you know how it turns something innocent into all of a sudden it's out of control type of a thing.
Yeah.
This movie really jumped out at me. I think the subject matter is something that needs to be addressed and talked about. And so let's talk about that film a little bit. Now, this is about a character who was put on it for ADD when he was 10 and is still addicted to it in college, right?
Yes, and also misled and misdiagnosed. Not to give too much away, but that's the storyline that the character Drew Dawson finds out at the end, and I'm not sure if it's mentioned on the IMDb breakdown or anything like that, but it is based on very heavily a true story and a real person who unfortunately the character committed suicide too. So it was a very, like you said, realistic, real circumstance, and then also based on somebody's real life. It was very intense, and I wanted to approach that with a high level of respect and concern about the material. So it was a really, like, that was such an amazing story and experience for me, especially to work with a lot of the cast members, every supporting cast, like everybody. What was so great about that film from a technical aspect was it's an independent film, and making any film is challenging, especially an indie film on, a restrained budget. But the supporting cast sometimes is where you can just run into a little bit of trouble, I find sometimes. But even if somebody was only there for a day, like the best actors, like such a strong supporting cast, and also to work with Kathleen Quinlan was like, really, she plays my mother in the film, but like really became like a mother-like figure, and was really just an amazing experience to work with her. But I think some of the misconception with the film is that it's people saying like, oh, that the medicine is bad, or you can be. So I was concerned about that because I did a lot of research, and for people who have ADD or ADHD and stuff like that, and basically finding differing opinions of the medicine really kind of calibrating their mind to help them to focus better.
Right.
But then a lot of people having adverse side effects, like really bad side effects to the medication and stuff like that too, where they were having similar effects like the character Drew Dawson in the film with either, especially if you were having the withdrawals and things like that. But I think it's a powerful film where you can see the differences between using drugs recreationally, or how powerful the mind is, at a young age, that if people or teachers or even, family members do something to a child, the ramifications of it, where it can lead you and stuff. So I think it's overall like really powerful story.
Absolutely. And again, I think it's a story that needs to be told. It's an issue that needs to be addressed. Right. And I'm glad a film like that was made and that people are addressed, because it's important. It's absolutely important. So congrats to you for that and being a part of it, man. And it's an important message.
Awesome, thanks. And I'll just give a quick plug to the director and writer, Dan Jensky, because it was a short film first, and then it won a couple of awards, and then he adapted and really pushed that film forward. So the director Dan Jensky was great as well.
Awesome,
nice,
awesome, well done. So let's jump. We got to jump a little bit. The Good Place. Obviously, a huge show. Everybody loves The Good Place. It's got a phenomenal cast. I mean, you're talking Ted Danson and Kristen Bell and just like so many amazing people on this show. Yeah. So huge congratulations for that. It's got to be epic to be on that show. And to get to play off of Kristen Bell. I mean, that's got to be amazing. Let's talk about that. First of all, is she as awesome as she comes across? Because
Right.
I just feel like she's got to be one of the most awesome people ever. And what's it like to be working on that show and have that experience? Because it looks like a lot of fun. I mean, I love and you're currently, should we tell? I don't think it's too much of a spoil. You're back in the bad place, aren't you?
Yes, we are. Well, technically, I guess we are on Earth, specifically
yes.
Canada.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a lot of twists and turns. That's part of the excitement, I suppose, of the show.
Right.
But yeah, that one I kind of like to break it down like that to a word, and it is just epic and blessed with The Good Place, man. It's so, I mean, Michael Schur is brilliant. The whole thing, like the whole storyline of how it's unfolding and everything, it's such a smart, fun show. And yeah, it's just such a privilege to be around high level, like if you look at it as athleticism, like high level pro athletes,
Right.
almost. And yes, and I would say even more so back to Kristen, so cool, so awesome, and just stunning. Like the first time I saw her, I wasn't like, Saving Silverman and and Veronica Mars and things like that. And, she's very attractive. But when I saw her in person, I was like, wow, Kristen is beautiful, aesthetically, but also as a person. So it was really great to just be present, so as far as like acting off, or like you were saying, it was like, oh wow, when you're in the presence of like really such professionals, your job is easy. You just have to stay with them. Like, I'm just going to look at this person, and see what they're doing and just play off of it. So it was great. And the same thing with Mr. Danson. When the first time I met him, he was very welcoming and, just awesome. Like, even just hearing him before, like, an entrance, like, how hilarious he was from, like, behind the scene, like, literally behind, like, a fake wall or something before
Right.
you would come in. So you're just listening to him, and it was just, like, specifically his laugh. I had to come in for one of the entrances, like my cue was like on his laugh. So every time it was just, you wanted to just break out laughing because he just does a real, every time organic, hilarious, maniacal laugh. So that was just pretty awesome too.
That's
to totally
epic.
see. And I love what you said there. Something that jumped out at me right there, because we hear this a lot from guests also, that a huge part of acting is reacting. So I love that you said, you just play off of your fellow actors and what are they doing? I'm going to do this. And they kind of elevate you to where you need to go. I think that it's important as an actor to recognize that that's a huge part of it. And I gotta say, I mean, I love the show. I love your character on the show, and I'm hoping that we see a lot more of it, and that the show continues on and on, because, like you said, it's such an interesting storyline, and the twists and turns. It's so creative. So huge congrats on the success for that, man.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Yeah, super. Yeah, that's the whole thing with the show. Like when they let you know, it's just pure excitement every time. First season, second season, third season, and now with the Golden Globes and
Right.
Critics' Choice. I mean, it's just more excitement and great stuff for the show. So yeah, I'm excited to be involved. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about another series that's kind of a like just out there, man, twist and turn and like storyline that's just way out there. If anybody hasn't seen it yet, because CBS All Access, so if you haven't had the opportunity to check it out, you need to check it out. It's called Tell Me a Story. You play Billy on this one, and let's talk about that. Kind of set up the premise for anybody that might not have CBS All Access or have seen it yet. It's kind of like fairy tales, but set in a modern world, and it's kind of a dark turning twist, right?
Yeah, exactly. And with, just really grounded in truth. Like it's very realism. So, not like, I guess, Once Upon a Time gets a little stylized as far as the fairy tales and stuff like that. I guess
Right.
a really big difference with Tell Me a Story or Kevin Williamson's Tell Me a Story is a, just, the story tells kind of interweaving and based in a modern day New York. Well, I guess it starts in New York City. The core of it's New York City, and then they spread out a bit. But yeah, modern day and grounded in truth for sure.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, like one of the things that stands out if you've seen the trailer for this or if you've watched any of the episode, there's this scene where like the three pigs are robbing a bank. Like, what is going on, man? You know, it's like, wait a minute, no.
So yeah, what I guess if not to give away too much, but what happens, kind of how that ties in and makes sense is there was a rally, like because of the I guess police shootings and stuff like that. There was a march against wrongful killings or shootings or something like that. So a lot of the people in the crowd were wearing pig masks. So our main three male actors in the Three Little Pigs storyline, I suppose, were savvy to that, so they used it in their to their advantage to then break out, so no one could know who they were, and then to get lost in the crowd, kind of deal. Interesting.
So talk about your character a little bit. You're the roommate of one of the main guys, right?
Yes, I played the roommate of the character Gabe, played by Davi Santos.
Right.
Yes. Oh man, Davi's great. So we had so much fun together. So that's kind of like one of the things you just hope for and can't really plan. Like playing off of people. It's always special when you just have an instant rapport with somebody, and that happened with Davi, so that was a lot of fun. And so yeah, just the same thing, like very welcoming from the rest of the cast. Kevin Williamson was great, and to work with him, who's iconic.
Absolutely.
And then just playing off of Davi, and just similar a little bit to the going back to the SVU of just like having fun kind of deal, was bringing that back and just being a little, like what kind of trouble or fun can we get into? You know what I mean? Kind of mindset. So it was a blast, and obviously it doesn't go so well, but most of the time that doesn't. So
that's hilarious. So yeah. I love the behind the scenes stories like that, though, because that's the stuff that you don't get to hear about or see. So I love when guests talk about stuff like that. Speaking of, let's get a little bit serious for a little bit, because I kind of want to touch on a few subjects that are huge right now in the industry that aren't going away any, and I think are playing a big deal right now. I want to talk a little bit about the Me Too movement. And what has been your experience with that? Because we've had some guests on that we're trying to kind of highlight both sides of the issues. You're a good looking guy. You've competed in stuff that deals with your looks, with your body. I would assume, and this is just a thought and an opinion, but I would assume that it has to take place on the other side as well. We've seen Terry Crews come forward. We've seen the stuff. Have you seen a change in the industry where moves are being made to try to get this? Do you see a dual standard or a double side to the issue? And what are your thoughts on the whole movement? Is it good or bad, or what do you see?
Oh man, that's a big question. Just to clarify, on the other side, you mean the other side meaning like
men like being harassed,
or so you mean like like similarly to like what occurred to Terry Crews? Exactly.
I feel like
sure. Well, yeah, totally. I mean, once again, I wasn't there and I didn't do too much research on it, but it also, I don't know if I don't know where it really all started, but I think the thing that occurred with Kevin Spacey was it happened with a male as well. But not to take it away, I think I don't know if Terry Crews is starting a whole thing, but I think the Me Too is strictly a women thing. But it might be. I mean, it has some stuff happen to men. So this is where I guess this will be my contribution to this.
Sure.
What I feel, and I think it is. I think it's tricky, and basically, what I would say is, I think things, and what I've been focusing on now too, is like stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
meaning like I guess a lot of what if conversations come up, and it's ultimately you don't know if it didn't happen to you. And, we do have our own opinions and experiences, and, past stuff going on and intellect to contribute in conversation. But I think it's all about focusing on yourself. And, if it didn't have, like stay in your lane is the word I think I'm marinating on, meaning not say anything, but to listen, to be available, to help people that are in need, but also to not, because I didn't have it happen to me and I'm not a woman in a situation like that, not saying that a man couldn't be, vulnerable as well, but I think it's a specific thing. Same thing with, Black Lives Matter and other things.
Absolutely.
It's to be open, to listen, to have your opinion, but, to know when to speak and to know when to be silent, and to just know, like, if it didn't happen to you, ultimately, just be there to support and give a helping hand. You know what I mean? I think that's what I'm trying to marinate on.
Absolutely.
But,
That's solid advice, man. I think that's great advice and a great approach. I perfectly said, man, and I think we both agree with you. We're just both this whole time you're talking, just nodding our head like exactly, yeah, that's exactly how you should do it.
Yeah, trying to make sense. I mean, it's I think it's ultimately a very sensitive situation, and if you don't know, you don't know, kind of deal, But you can help still. If you don't know, find out and help out.
Absolutely. And the other big one going on in the industry right now, and I'm real interested to hear your take on this, is social media. We're hearing from a lot of guests and a lot of people in the industry how big a role social media is playing now, about how people are getting roles because they have more followers and not necessarily more talent than someone else, and the role that it's playing in the entertainment industry. Do you find that to be true? Have you run across that in auditions where you're asked about your following and how big you are, or have you not run across that yet? What's your thought on that?
Yes, I have many a thought on it. I guess the most important thought is, once again, like what I've been marinating on, and I think could potentially be, helpful, is it is a real thing. And ultimately, if it's real, it's real. And so basically, whether I think it comes more into some people disliking it, or like having a bit of a negative, tint on when they're discussing it, or a positive. So basically, it is real, it is here, and it is here for the time being. Will it be in the future? We don't know, but it looks like that. So to use it to the best of your ability or to your advantage. So that's kind of just the approach I've been taking. Are people using it? Potentially. I don't know, like, the real facts, but it seems like it would be a useful tool. So I'm treating it as such, and also just looking at it more so like, when we go to auditions or something, they're taking, like, they only care about this and not talent. So I'm not even making it kind of about that conversation. I'm trying to just use it on my own as an extremely valuable resource that one might not have had generations prior, to just communicate, to disclose certain things, to show a certain side of yourself to a larger audience, and to have a voice when and if you need it.
Absolutely. That I love how you say a useful tool, because that's exactly the way we look at it too. I mean, just even 10, 15 years ago, the idea of being able to market yourself or put yourself out there or communicate with people on this type of a level wasn't even thought of unless you were going through your people. So, I mean, it's an amazing tool to do just that. I love the fact that you call it a tool, because that's exactly what it is.
Exactly. Basically, Instagram can be a lookbook for a model or something like that. So.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, anything. And I mean, I look at it as it's like, it's just interesting. I mean, it's a very interesting thing, because there's many of them overlap, and some of them you use for different things, like, Twitter versus Instagram, and Instagram versus Facebook, and then Patreon and YouTube, and like kind of merging them all together or keeping them separate. Like, it's just it's an interesting tool or a resource where you can either market yourself or show your art, or your ability or your craft, or whatever you're trying to give to people, or to, even to have access to certain people where you might not otherwise, even podcasts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I
Absolutely.
think that's social media to an extent as well.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, just from our personal experience, I mean, the growth that we've been able to make and the contacts that we've been able to accumulate and reach out to. This interview with yourself, I mean, absolutely. Podcasting for sure has been a great tool for us to be able to expand our name. So I would agree with you wholeheartedly there.
Yeah, and you guys are like we were saying before, you're making a big jump, but that's from the years of work you guys have been doing, but also you and Logan are having a fun time. Like, you're thinking about it, each one having fun and enjoying it and learning and stuff. So I think, like, if you use it as far as the process and let the result take care of itself, it is way more valuable.
Oh man, that perfectly said. I mean, that's exactly how we approach it. It is a lot of work. It's hard work, and what we do, we take very seriously, but it is all about having fun and enjoying what you're doing. And I think you just nailed it, man. When you do that and you approach it that way, you just let the results take care of itself. And that's exactly what we do every week. And man, thank you. Thank you for the kind words for that, by the way, too.
Yeah, no problem.
So, and speaking of, like I said, now we can get back to poking a little fun and having a little fun. When social media, all of our female listeners, I can't tell you how many people interacted. Like, when we just didn't even officially announce, just hinted that you were coming on the show, we got all kinds of questions, and all like, what's his handle? Is he on social media? Can we follow him? All kinds of fun stuff. But I will say, two questions that jumped out at the top of the list. So we promised we would ask during the interview. Oh my goodness. And especially, I think we found your biggest fan ever. Her name is Bailey Wiltz, and she was all over it. She's a friend of ours, and she's like, oh my gosh, are you seriously interviewing him? So there you go, Bailey. We gave you a shout out.
What's up, Bailey? Thank you.
So the two biggest questions, and here we go. And I hope I hope you're okay. One, are you single? They all want to know, is Luke Guldan single?
Oh, I'm going to give no comment.
Smart man.
There
He's
you
a
go.
very smart man. All right. Now, and I think I think you can get around this one if you do it you seem very, very sly, very put together. What's your ideal woman? What do you look for in your ideal woman?
Let's see. I'll say ideal woman or person is someone who is passionate and motivated and has a strong self-worth. And I think all of those things combined to equal confidence.
Wow. Excellent answer.
Yeah, wow.
That is an excellent answer. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. That just spot on.
Yeah,
Spot
seriously.
on. Well done, sir. Well done. and he answered that. And I love the no comment. That's fantastic. I'm going to plead the fifth. He's been on enough law procedural shows. He knows when to plead the fifth. That's
I
right.
need a lawyer for that one.
That's awesome. Okay, so what do you got coming up? Let's tell everybody what you got coming up. What you working on?
So I've got a couple of films that are hopefully about to be coming out or have a 29 release, and one all of them I'm really excited about, but one was really intense, similarly to The Addicted, and it's called Final Frequency. It's a sci-fi type thriller about based on loose true events as well, about these missing Nikola Tesla papers, and I play an ex-vet who has PTSD, so that's where the element of wanting to approach it with seriousness, because of that is also a very, very serious, mental health and PTSD and things like that are
right.
like a really, really intense issue. So it was great to research and find out more about what's going on with that, and the troops and stuff like that. But it also has a lot of comedy in it too, and that's a great story. So it's called Final Frequency, and hopefully they have a 2019 release. And another film by Linda Yellen called Fluidity, where I had a chance to work with a really cool ensemble cast, kind of about the dating app culture, specifically in New York City
Oh,
or in
interesting.
any city, and like just the differences between, I guess like sexual identity and also another very current type issue going on. So it was educational to be around a lot of that and see what was going on, and it was great to work with Linda and the rest of the cast on that too. And it's called Fluidity, and it should have a
Fluidity.
2019 release. Apparently.
Fantastic. Oh, man, you got to work with James Chen on that one. We had James on the show recently. Yeah, man, he's fantastic.
I was just saw James last night. Yeah,
Hey.
I love James. He's awesome.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
doing
man.
great.
He
He's
was a
doing
great guest also, man. Just that's awesome that you guys got to work together. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, James is cool.
All right, so let's do the social media shout out. Where can everybody follow you?
Sweet. It's just Luke Guldan official on Instagram and Facebook, and I think it's just Luke Guldan on Twitter.
Awesome. Okay. Fantastic. Listen, man, this has been a lot of fun, dude. You just I love your approach on the way you attack the career and the stuff that you've done.
Yeah.
And just I like that you have fun, man. You sound like you just go for it, and the best part about it is having fun with what you do, and that's our approach, man. And we just love people that think like that.
Yeah, that's it. You only live once, right?
Exactly.
You gotta live it. You gotta have fun while you're doing it, I suppose, right?
Absolutely, man. What's the point if you don't, right?
Exactly. Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year, and good luck with the new ventures coming up.
Oh, man.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. And same to you. And look, man, anytime you want to come back and promote something you got going on, or you just want to shoot the shit, man, just your open invite, dude. Anytime you want to come back, you're more than happy, man.
Awesome. Seriously. Thank you guys so much. I love that.
All right, dude. Take care, man. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
All right. Bye.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
That's
man.
how you
Yeah,
have
so,
to
like-
live.
Yeah.
Just, you only live once, so might as well
Exactly.
take a chance and just do it.
Exactly. I really like his approach. Like every behind the scenes story was about how he would just cut up and have fun.
Yeah,
Or he was
exactly.
trying to fight from laughing and
Exactly.
I will say how it was so nice to hear though that Kristen Bell is as nice a person on the inside as she is
Yeah.
on the outside, and like
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Hell
So just what a great approach. What a great
guest.
interview.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, now it is time for the top 5 segment. Oh man, this week it is top 5 most anticipated movies for 2019. Oh man, there's a lot of good ones on this
there's
list.
so many good ones.
Yeah. And I
Like-
mean, I feel like Disney has taken up
Yeah,
a
did
lot.
I
of
hear
Yeah,
y'all
yeah.
just nothing but Disney? My list
Like,
barely has one Disney.
574 movies coming out in 2019, and I want to say like 570 of them are Disney.
Yes. Facts.
I mean, it's like that could be one of those facts
Yeah,
that's real. I mean, it's
seriously.
crazy how many they got coming out over the next year.
It really
It's
is.
nuts.
That's
Latte,
because Disney owns all the movies now.
It's true.
you want to give yours first?
Me?
Yes, you.
Should we have a little
Okay.
clock? We should have a little bell every
me?
time somebody does a Disney one. Bing,
Ding, ding.
ding. All right, Latte, let's hear them.
There'll be a couple of mine. Of course, Avengers Endgame.
Ding.
Definitely ready for that. Captain Marvel.
Okay, please don't do that every time.
Oh yes, no, that'd be a good
Oh
one.
my
every
God.
every time she names a Disney one, we do Mickey. Gosh.
Oh, I don't have Mickey.
I was kind of creepy. I don't know. I think I spelled that.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if this one's Disney or not, but the Lego 2 movie,
Oh,
or
okay.
Lego Movie 2 rather.
Oh yeah, no,
No? Okay.
no, but
Uh,
okay.
Then I also have Glass. Looking forward to that.
Ah.
Yes.
That looks good.
And then It Chapter 2. I know that one ain't
Yes.
Disney.
Yes. Yes.
And then also, like I said earlier, an honorable mention for Kevin. He's really looking forward to John Wick 3.
Yeah. Go, Kevin.
Kevin Smith in the house, or at least in the car.
In
He's
the
in the
car.
car. He's in the car.
He's in the car.
He's driving.
He's diving.
He's driving Miss Latte.
We could have made a whole we could have made a reference with driving my car.
Oh, yeah.
The hef.
That's right. That's right. All right.
Right,
Who's going next?
Latte. Or
Shoot.
you.
Wow.
Over here.
Wow.
Wow.
Over here.
Wow, you're gonna be in the doghouse now.
What's her face?
What's her face? Your turn, little Cam.
Lil'
You
Cam.
look at you.
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right.
Remember that.
I will.
It's okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure all of mine are Disney. I think all of mine are Disney.
I have an alert button now.
All right, so and mine are never in any order. So
Okay.
Of course.
yeah,
Is there more than 3?
I have all 5 this week. God,
Yeah.
Smack.
damn. Okay,
I'll
Both
punch
of,
you in the face.
both of you sleep with eyes open tonight.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay. So Dumbo,
Mm.
because I grew up on the original Dumbo, and I want to
Yes.
see this one. Lion King, Avengers Endgame, Toy Story 4,
Wait, that's Pixar. Well, yeah.
Wow.
and Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Mine is Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, Toy Story 4, Lion King, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, It Chapter 2, and The Joker, the new Joker coming out.
Mm.
Oh.
Yeah, wow.
Right.
Yes.
Again, that was a lot of Disney.
Yeah, it was a lot of
It
Disney.
was a lot of
It was
Disney.
like half.
All right, Chris, what you got?
Glass.
Glass.
Yes, Glass, definitely.
Pet Cemetery.
Oh, I
Yes,
forgot
Pet
about
Sematary.
that one.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Endgame. Pokemon Detective.
Oh, yeah.
John Wick 3.
Yeah.
I had honorable mentions of Dark Phoenix and maybe Men in Black International, but I kind of a big maybe on that one because
I
Yeah.
am too.
Um,
I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I do like the characters with Will Smith and
Yeah.
all that,
Yeah.
but I saw where that was going away. But I was like, y'all could have
Yeah.
expanded it with Will Smith
Right.
too, in a
Like,
way.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
Yeah, we
We'll
shall
see.
see.
All right, get your sound alert ready. 'Cause- all right, mine, obviously, Spider-Man Far From Home.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Well, is that Sony or is that
no,
that's Marvel? Okay,
Marvel. That's
okay.
MCU, Disney. And then Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, Lion King, and to be fair, because I'm an equal opportunity nerd, I'm really looking forward to Wonder Woman 84. It's
Oh, yeah.
Wonder Woman
Oh, yeah.
84 I think is going to be epic.
And Tom Hanks' Will Rogers movie is coming
Yeah,
out
yeah.
this year.
And of
19.
course, we talked about it earlier at the top, so honorable mention: Disney Episode 9. I mean, Disney Episode 9. Yeah, Star Wars Episode 9.
Yeah.
So, super stoked
That is
about that
also,
one.
yeah.
So Disney. Let's just be about. We're gonna spend a lot of money at Disney this. I mean, they're gonna make a lot of money off of us.
Yeah.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. Thank you.
That's right. Mickey's like, oh gosh, there's your new Mercedes.
over. Like, okay. All right. Word of the day.
Who says diamonds are a girl's best friend?
Word of the day.
Word of the day.
Thank God.
It's a pretty gross one this time. I decided to go a little grosser.
Oh,
Honey Wagon.
Honey wagon.
that's another new thing we can get. Honey wagon.
It's a mobile toilet unit.
A
Mobile toilet unit.
unit.
Well, there's a whole bunch of people that work on film sets and everything else, right? Film, TV, and all that.
Okay,
Well, they
but-
got to go to the bathroom, especially when you're out on location. The bathroom doesn't come. You have to bring the bathroom to you.
Okay, that's true. But to be fair, the honey wagons are now like luxurious star trailers.
Yeah. Well,
I mean they are. They're basically like a 1-bedroom apartment
Oh,
now
shit.
with a
Yeah.
toilet. I mean,
yeah, but
that's-
the one for the crew guy who's just a unit or
No,
production
no,
assistant,
see, yeah.
that's a mobile. That's a porta potty on the
that's
back
a porta
of the
potty
on the
that they
wagon.
just nicely put the honey wagon sign
Yeah, the
on.
sign, like-
the actual honey wagons are like small houses now. I mean,
Yeah.
these trailers are
Yeah.
insane now.
Oh my
Well, the
God.
legend behind the name Honey Wagon is referred to the honey-colored liquid that comes out when emptying the holding tanks. Yeah, that's where it gets really gross.
I see. Gross. Yeah.
What was that, Kevin Smith?
What would you say? Take a left here?
And as
Oh,
you're
man.
saying, a lot of apartments, also the makeup crew
Yes.
also uses the wagons,
Yep.
Yeah.
and especially multiple different things, or like bathing and showering, because
Yeah.
if you're doing full body makeup,
Yeah.
Yeah.
before you leave the set, you gotta get all that stuff off of there.
True.
If you're using blood, you gotta shower,
Definitely.
or you just have a Bruce Campbell in the original Evil Dead would say, like, they were mixing up so many concoctions that
Right.
all the flies were coming in on set and landing on him, and he couldn't even get until he went to the motel to go shower.
Damn,
He's just
true.
covered in
That's
cake and breaking hair
annoying.
off.
Yeah.
Well, Walking Dead, I bet, has all kinds of
I
stuff like
bet.
that happen all the time.
Yeah, 'cause it's all open,
Jason
it's
Warner
out
Smith told us they were literally eating.
Yeah.
The flies were coming in, eating the guts, and ugh. Little known fact, we like to drop knowledge and facts on this show.
Like-
and Kevin Smith and Latte are driving a honey wagon right now across the country
Yeah, they
in
are.
Louisiana. They are. They're
That's why
driving
we gave 'em
across
That's Why It's the Word of
Louisiana
the
in a
Week.
honey wagon. It's fantastic. Look for them. Look for them. Look for Kevin Smith and Latte. You can't miss them. They're driving a wood-paneled honey wagon. It's going to be great.
The famous Mazda honey wagon.
That's
Famous
right.
Mazda honey wagon. So anyway, box
anyway.
office prediction time. All right, let's do a little recap here. Aquaman. I predicted it to be number 1, yet it was.
All hail King Arthur.
I predicted around 70 to 75 million. It did under my predictions with around 67.4 million. So, it still did pretty good.
It did.
Pretty good.
It did.
Number 2 was Mary Poppins, which I predicted. I predicted around 35 to 40 million. It got 23.5. Damn. Talk about a huge drop off. That's what I was thinking of. But Bumblebee was number 3, and I thought this film was going to be number 4, so I was wrong about that, but I predicted around 20 to 25 million, and it got 21.7 million. So just in the right spot for that one. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Universe. I predicted it to be number 3, but it was number 4. It got 16.6 million. I predicted around 20 to 25 million, so it still did pretty good, though, for a holiday weekend, especially against some huge blockbusters. And number 5 was The Mule, which I thought was going to be number 4, but was actually number 5. It got around 9.5 million. I predicted 10 to 15. So, still doing pretty good. Still doing pretty good, I must say. Thank you. I'm fantastic.
Yeah. What did we not hear on that list?
Vice.
Or Welcome to Marwin, right?
Or Welcome to Marwin.
Or Jennifer Lopez's new one.
Yeah, second act. That
The
one,
Mule beat all of those new releases.
It did.
That should tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
That should tell you something.
Yeah, but number 1 this week, honestly, Aquaman, because I think it'll have some legs, and nothing good looks like it's coming out until like March,
I
to
know.
be honest with you. So, and that's Captain Marvel. So I honestly have no idea how it's going to play out. But number 1 this week, I think it's going to be Aquaman with around 30 to 35 million. Number 2, I think it's going to be Bumblebee. I think Bumblebee's going to hop back up there. I think it's going to be around
Hop back up there.
20 to 25 million. Number 3, I think, will be Mary Poppins with around 15 to 20 million. Number 4, I think, will be, honestly, because Vice, Holmes, and Watson are also now out, but I also heard that Holmes and Watson isn't getting good reviews.
Yeah,
And
those-
I mean,
those
They're,
reviews
they're
bomb.
saying Holmes and Watson's could potentially be the worst film
Yeah,
ever made.
like-
they were running that all morning about it could
Yeah.
potentially be the worst
that's
film ever made.
insane.
So it's going to be
Yeah.
Tommy Wiseau's The Room
Yeah,
and Bird Apocalypse.
It's-
And those are sitting at the worst movies out
I
there.
don't know, but
It's
it's
so crazy.
let's just say it's not getting good reviews.
Yeah. At number 5, I think will be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Universe with around 10 to 15. That's a pretty good film. So
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
go see
yeah.
that one.
It's. I
Well
think
worth to go
honestly,
3D.
I want to say
Yeah.
I think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was probably the spoiler that brought your numbers down for this week.
Yeah.
You know, because you predicted right for 1 and 2, but they were lower totals.
Yeah.
I think it's because people were still going to see Spider-Man in the
Yeah,
Spider-Verse.
I was very surprised.
Yeah,
It was
I
really
like
good.
how you use the honey wagon transition into. That's what Bumblebee will be driving into the second spot again. This week, is the honey wagon?
That's right.
Bumblebee. That's right.
So clever. So clever.
Definitely.
Jeez.
Well, let's change it over to music a little bit. Billboard chart toppers, Hot 100. Ariana Grande still there with Thank
No,
You Next,
really?
with 6th
Yeah.
straight week.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Please stop playing it.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Top 200 albums is Kodak Black's new album, Dying to Live. And this is the first week it has been on the number 1 spot. Honorable mention, Star is Born is still rising, number 3 now, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Universe's soundtrack is now at number 5. So,
Wow.
And just another honorable mention and a little shout out. Apparently on Monday, Christmas Eve, Mariah Carey broke the all-time streaming record on Spotify. More than 10 million streams for All I Want for Christmas Is You.
damn.
No, that can't be that one. It can't be that.
Yeah, yes, and it's crazy.
It's crazy how many
every
people love that
Christmas,
movie.
and then it drops out, and then it pops back
Yeah.
in every Christmas. I
Yeah.
mean, she is just banking.
Yeah,
but
just off
she,
of that song.
Yeah, she just posted on, hey, thanks, broke the record. You know, I'm like, okay,
Like,
but I
cool.
mean, 10 million streams on Christmas Eve alone.
Yeah.
like that's crazy. But
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. But anyway, guys, that is our show for this week. Thank you so much for a fucking fantastic year.
Oh my
2018 was so good. Thank you so much for coming along this year and getting crazy with us. We really appreciate you. Make sure to follow us at all of our social media handles. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, all that good shit. Twitter, Crazy Ant Media. Instagram, Crazy Ant Media. And on Facebook, Crazy Ant Media. On Reddit, Crazy Ant Media. And we have a website, crazyantmedia.com. You can like and find this podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Google Play Music, Anchor. Like and subscribe. Rate us. Leave a comment. All that good shit. And one more thing. Last time of 2018, we love Oprah!